Bases dropped on Soccer's morning show. Soccer Down Here Thursday Thoughts. John here, you there, and we'll hang out for a little while today. And we'll go ahead and line things up because out of the blocks we got this. Well, I mean, yeah, the super long tease is over. Yes, that is true. And so that's where the breaking news is coming in. Atlanta United announced they've signed midfielder Tristan Muyumba from Ligue 2 side EA Guignon through the 27 season using TAM. It's a TAM signing. Keep that in mind. Midfielder occupies an international roster slot pending the receipt of his international transfer certificate and the P1 visa. Quoting Carlos Bocanegra, excited to bring into the team this summer, versatile midfielder who can cover ground defensively and progress the ball forward attack. Playing profile and skill set fit well with our team. Good complement to the group of players we have on the roster. 26 years old, spent most of his time in France, came up at Monaco, made his professional debut for the side on April 26th of 2017 in a Coupe de France match against PSG. How's that for a beginning? Loan spell in Belgium with Cercle Bruges. Signed with Toulon at the beginning of 2020. 7 appearances in the second half of the season before COVID shut down the campaign. July of 2020, joined Guignon's B team. Played in 9 matches before joining the first team in January 2021. 31 matches, 17 starts last year. Finished the season 3 goals, 2 assists. Past season, the former French youth international set career highs in matches played and starts, 35 and 30, as Guignon finished 5th in Ligue 2. 5'5", 26 years old, once again, through the 27 season, pending the receipt of the ITC and the P1 visa. So there you go. So officially official. And once again, it made sense with yesterday with the Andrew Gutman deal acquiring the international roster slot and all of the AM that was attached to it. So you have all of that. So that's your breaking news for this morning. Once again, no real surprise considering everything that had been said. And I know Mbappe and Muyumba, they're right there. They're right there, Sam. But so Tristan Muyumba, once again, pending the acceptance of the ITC and the P1 visa. Don't know, Emilio. We'll see. Probably going to take a little while to get acclimated as to what the staff wants and what his the expectations on him are, but we'll see. So we'll see what Tristan Muyumba brings to Atlanta United. So there you go. Muyumba in, Mbappe not, as of yet. We'll get into that and a bunch of other things in the show today. With transfers, the transfer window opened yesterday. We did talk about Andrew Gutman at the end of the show. And so that's on the table. And there are a couple of other acquisitions, one yesterday that kind of started everything. And just the sheer numbers that could be flipped in situations like this. So we've got Major League Soccer transfer window. We have all of these things. And then we got plenty to talk about transfers. We've got a coaching change in the USL Championship, which is really interesting. And it's a great move for this guy, and we'll get into that coming up in just a little bit, obviously. But plenty to talk about this morning. And folks at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Training Ground are keeping an eye on practice. Doug Robertson, early returns from practice this morning. No Franco Ibarra, understandably so, because of the yellow card accumulation, so he would not be in the match against Montreal anyway. Gigi, we know about Giacomakis and him being week to week, and Derek Etienne Jr. has returned. So obviously, we'll keep an eye on that. Confirmed. Muyumba and not Mbappe. Well, give it time. Tafka's in early this morning. We all want MLS clubs to open up the purse strings and let clubs spend. Tafka has done his system-wide fixes. They are up and down his social medias. The single easiest, most influential thing MLS could do and not impact the CBA, he thinks, is to stop the rolling transfer fee into the salary hit a player brings. Tafka digs the idea of Muyumba. The only reason he's a TAM player is because the fee has to be incorporated too. So Tafka, not a fan of fees being rolled into all of those kinds of things. So that's what we're staring at. Once again, we'll keep our head on a swivel this morning, and I know that all of you guys will sit there and keep your heads on the collective swivel. If you guys see news, you'll drop it into the Twitch pitch, and we'll all react accordingly. So that's not quite opening kickoff, but that was the breaking news off the top, considering that it happened at 9 o'clock this morning. Traffic this morning. Niko Moreno joining us at 10:30, and then little later, early afternoon, obviously, we'll have our MLS Next Pro programming up, and we'll have a preview of the Southern Conference Finals, the Southern Conference Championship in USLW. We caught up with the head coach of North Carolina Courage and kind of give you a preview. That starts later this afternoon. It's Thursday, Saturday up at Cary, North Carolina, with Tampa Bay United, FC Miami City, Tennessee SC, and North Carolina Courage. And we caught up with the head coach of the Courage since they're the hosts, and we'll post that a little later up in the afternoon as well. So that's your traffic for today. Tomorrow is about as normal a show as you can get. 9 o'clock, starting at 9 o'clock because of the 11 o'clock conference call with Atlanta United 2 that we have getting ready for Crown Legacy on Sunday. So 9 o'clock start tomorrow. 9 o'clock normal, 9:30 Beyond Goals. We'll see who it is. 10 o'clock Weekend Whip Run, patent pending trademark coming hopefully sooner rather than later. And so we got that today as well. Tom Russo dropping into the chat that Jedi Robinson close to signing a new contract at Fulham. Deal with Fulham expires in 2024, according to our friends at The Athletic. But he is poised. Is it poised or posed? Poised to sign a longer deal. Joined Fulham from Wigan in August 2020 after seeing off competition for Sheffield United. Both clubs triggered the $2.4 million release clause, but Robinson opted for Fulham. This is from Taylor and Rutzler at The Athletic. More than 100 appearances for the club since. So keep an eye on Jedi Robinson and Fulham. Yes, Abby, glad you've already got a France flag. Good morning. Hopefully, once again, morning Tom, morning Abby, morning Ricky, morning Emilio, morning Tafka, morning Sam, and I think I've got everybody caught up. So once again, Thursday thoughts, whatever's on your mind, drop them into the Twitch pitch. We'll discuss. And we will lay out everything that has gone on in a news sense up until 10:30 when Niko Moreno joins us and will drop his knowledge on what's going on in and around the mostly Major League Soccer. But we'll see if he's got anything else on his mind, especially Gold Cup. And we will go from there. All right, so opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee. KickoffCoffeeCO.com, morning forecard. And here is the QR code. And I know that Abby still wants to fix that. There's your QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch. Don't forget to use the QR code. And you use the QR code, and don't forget to use Soccer Down Here 15. You get 15% off of your purchase. And they enter 10% reinvested into the youth game and youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and KickoffCoffeeCO.com. So my question today in the opening kickoff, yeah, it was a 12-hour tease by the admin. That's true. All right, this whole Threads thing, this whole Threads thing, how many of you have jumped into it? I have. And like I said, I'm still trying to figure it out. Dave, I saw that Dave is leaving Chelsea. Cesar Azpilicueta. He has posted on his social media that he is leaving as well, and he has posted a rather long goodbye. It's a couple of paragraphs. It's a lot of paragraphs from Dave. So Dave has posted that he is leaving Chelsea. After 11 years ahead of the move to Atletico Madrid, 508 appearances and lifted the 2021 Champions League as captain. And Chelsea is also releasing a video of Dave saying goodbye. So So Azpilicueta heading to Atletico Madrid. All right, opening kickoff, Threads. I launched into it yesterday, and it's basically, our friends at Instagram basically said, okay, so do you want to just roll over everybody that you're currently following or have friends with on Instagram? I said, sure. And so I'm still trying to figure it out. And, if you've got like multiple accounts for like your business and stuff, I'm wondering how that works. And so the whole Threads thing, A, are you in on it? B, have you started to look at it? C, are you experiencing the things that I'm experiencing? I mean, it's like this long string of stuff. I mean, you're not pinned in by the doom scrolling limits that were given on the Bird app, but I'm still trying to figure it out. And I'm getting folks following me that I had no idea I was either following or followed. And so it's interesting to see what's going on. And for card, it might just be the new Facebook. I know, but I'm still trying to figure out the whole deal with Threads. So, A, are you in? B, what do you think? C, what are the bugs? And D, I'm just kind of letting it happen right now. So I'm it's like I dove in because it's another app that takes up entirely too much space on my phone, but we'll see what happens. All right. Ricky says, downloaded it on Twitter. People are saying that they're coming back to Twitter because of how wonky it is. Spill. Okay. I've never heard of Spill. Next time you see me, you'll have to talk to me about that. Also, there's Blue Sky is another one. And I'm like, all right. So it's like, but you can't like hop on to Blue Sky because you got to get on like a wait list. And I'm on the wait list for Blue Sky, and I have no earthly idea. Yeah, waiting on a Blue Sky invite. Yeah, so I'm waiting on my invite for Blue Sky, but I've already jumped into Threads. Much like Four Card says, it's probably just the new Facebook. So we'll see. But dove in, and it's like, hey, somebody's following you on this. That one, Abby, I'm right there with you. It's all new to me. Yeah, it's all new to me. I have no clue. So we'll see what's going on. But yeah, dove into Threads, and it's taking up entirely too much space on my phone. So we'll see what's going on. Yeah, not to be confused with the Blue Chew. There you go. Yeah. All right. So can you do lists? I don't know. Apparently, I don't know if you can do lists. I think that the wonkiness of the the app in and of itself is what folks are kind of sit there and figure out. So, yeah, in its early wonky stages, but we'll see. Yeah, there you go. By the way, I'm going to go ahead and give you this, and it is somewhat tongue in cheek. But this also, well, I can't do that quite yet. I've got to go here to do this. And so I just went ahead and blew the joke. According to Michelle Kaufman, and for those of you that might have seen the video from Franco Panizzo, Tata Martino is walking. He's wearing a hat this morning in Fort Lauderdale, walking across the pitch. Michelle Kaufman, Tata Martino got his work visa, is at training, but Javi Morales will remain coach for Saturday's game at DC United. Tata will take full charge on Monday. So that is the latest with Inter Messi FC. Tata Martino is walking, people. He's walking across the pitch, but he will take over on Monday. So Javi Morales is going to remain coach for the Saturday game at DC. So we'll keep an eye on that. Yesterday, with the transfer window kind of kicking off, obviously, like I said, we talked about the Andrew Gutman deal. And if you guys have any other questions, thoughts, ideas, anything on Andrew Gutman in Colorado, just go ahead and dive in, put it in the Twitch pitch. Perfectly fine. Oh, yes, that is the other breaking news, Ricky. I'm glad you mentioned that. The other breaking news, a picture of Messi in a Miami jersey at the Adidas flagship store in New York City. That's the other breaking news. It's attached to Inter Messi FC. Still hasn't signed a deal yet. I know, obviously, it'll happen. I'm guessing. I guess this is like right now. I guess this is like me and the actual franchise of Inter Messi FC. Until it happens, it hasn't happened from soccer over there. But yeah, so yeah, and the number 10. So Messi's wearing the 10 in Miami once he signs the deal. Well, and Ricky, to your point about Pizarro being pissed, I don't know how much time Rodolfo Pizarro is going to be remaining in Miami, frankly. I mean, remember all the discussion that we've been having about DPs. And it's, we're trying to figure out what's going on with Inter Miami. You've got all of these folks that are, yeah, I know. It's like Inter Fort Lauderdale. And so Pizarro, what's the career dissipation line at Inter Messi FC for Rodolfo Pizarro? There's links to LAG, and so I guess, Parzival, this might be your star rumor for the West for the moment. Yeah, and we can, and Parzival, what we can do, and Parzival, remind me at 10:30. Remind me when Niko comes in to give the Pacific perspective to ask this specific point. Ask the specific point. Remind me at 10:30, Parzival. Because Parzival wants star rumors in the West. Thinking with Messi in the East, the West may want a team to overcharge on tickets for. So we'll see if there's anything that he's heard about anything in the West here in the summer window. But the early notifications yesterday were Pizarro to LAG, because LAG really can't do a whole lot of navigating the world and trying to figure out what's going on. So I would imagine Gregory gets bought down unless they keep that third DP slot open for next year, which is what all of this is kind of for. And by the way, did you see the 19-year-old Argentine defender, or the 19-year-old Argentine that they're chasing, meaning Inter Messi FC? A lot of young players that want to play with Messi. Being able to get them relatively inexpensively, bring them in under the umbrella, give a 2 to a 2.5 year deal to a 19-year-old, have him under the U22 deal. Keep an eye on the wake that is left by the Messi traveling in the water. Keep an eye on who wants to draft off of this, as I've gone from boating to NASCAR. Keep an eye on all the younger players, not just the star power that we know of that's going to be locked in, allegedly, apparently, possibly, probably, maybe. Messi and Busquets, apparently, probably this season. Jordi Alba, possibly next season. But while we're staring at all of those that are in their 30s, while you're staring at all of those players in their 30s at the top of the salary food chain in Fort Lauderdale, keep an eye on the ideas for all of the younger players that want to come to be a part of playing with Messi and Busquets and possibly, probably, maybe, inherently, possibly Jordi Alba. Keep an eye on the younger players, too. You want to draft off of that and see what's going on. Keep an eye on that. That might be how you offset the salary avalanche, for lack of a better phrase, that could be going on at Inter Miami when you bring in Messi, when you bring in Busquets, and when you probably, maybe bring in Jordi Alba. Look at those U22s that are attracted. Get the chance to play with those players. But as we said, the 3 DPs going into this window, Pizarro, Campana, Gregory. And probably, right, Ricky, yeah, Jordi Alba being chased as a non-DP. So keep an eye on that. But remember that you can't have 37 DPs, as Miami has already hopefully learned this lesson once before when they had 5 and you're only allowed 3. You've got to have some outgoing before you can have the incoming. So check on 2 of the 3 DPs right now. That's probably Campana and Pizarro. You buy Gregory down unless you hold that spot until you come up with a 3rd DP. So until you've got your outbound figured out, you can't sit there and sign the inbounds. Another reason why the start date for Messi is at the tail end of the month. You've got to have this long runway to get your finances in order and your roster structure in order. You can't just say, hey, we signed Lionel Messi, and now you've got 4 DPs. That's what got you in trouble last time, even though you didn't say you did. You've got to get your outbound figured out before your inbound's figured out. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on the outbound. Keep an eye on the youngins, as this is all trying to get itself squared away for Leagues Cup and this season, and trying to get the maximum that you can for everything in place. The soap opera in Fort Lauderdale will be interesting, but the early returns are, other than Pizarro being pissed about Messi wearing a 10 in the promo photo, that Pizarro could be headed to LAG. Forecard, wouldn't it be funny if he goes back to Barca? Yeah, the whole deal falls apart. Everything just collapses in and around itself. The financial black hole happens, and Messi goes back to Barcelona. They figure out how they can get the menu squared away, and Messi ends up going back to Barcelona. That would be, Forecard, that would be something that I would say on Soccer Over There. As I said about this franchise, until it came to pass, when it actually turned into a franchise, until it happens, it hasn't happened. And yes, you've got all of this promotional stuff. You've got all of this stuff happening. And then, yeah, Forecard, that would be something that I would say on Soccer Over There. Until it happens, it hasn't happened. So that's where we are with Lionel Messi. Tafka, and this is a topic that we're staring at this morning on a bunch of different fronts because Tom has brought it up. Tom has brought this up, and Tafka brought up the Bird app release from Doug Robertson of the AJC, where the insinuation is alarming. And right now, there's 4 U22s. It's only allowed 3. 3 are training today. Ibarra isn't. Well, Ibarra is not training because he's not going to be playing in Montreal, and it's kind of counterintuitive for a player to train if he's not going to be involved in a match. But the 4 U22s is something that has to be stared at. And so All right, you're in a numbers game. Keep an eye on it. But this particular insinuation is a step further than it should have been. It should have been more along the lines of what Tom introduced to the discussion. Keep an eye on the 4U22s. The insinuation in the information release by Doug, Ibarra isn't out there because he's not playing. It's counterintuitive to have a player out there. It's a short. I mean, he can go train on. He can be out there and train on his own, do whatever. But this is the big day to get everything implemented before the road trip to Montreal. It makes less than no sense it makes less than no sense to sit there and have a player who's not going to be integral to your match to be out there and be integral in training. There will be training for Franco Ibarra. There will be, some athletic maneuvering by Georgi Shakamakis as well. But for a player who is not going to be participating in a match to be in the integral training session before you leave is counterintuitive. So keep an eye on that. So we'll keep an eye on the U22 situation. But this, the insinuation, for me, I'm looking at it as Franco Ibarra is not going to play against Montreal. Therefore, that's why he's not out in the actual training session, because he's taken up a spot. He's taken up somebody else's spot. You've got to figure out everything else. And for Franco Ibarra to be out there on the training pitch in the seminal training session before you hop on a plane, or then they might practice tomorrow morning. So if they practice tomorrow morning, they hop on a flight. But this is your next to last. This is when you're getting all your stuff squared away from Montreal. Franco Ibarra is not playing against Montreal. So having a player who is not playing, not out there at practice, not necessarily a surprise. So, Jordi Alba's a non-DP. Parzival. Is Miami going to wind up with 4 DPs on their roster after the window? Was looking into how Joseph's pay is working on the roster, looking like he's listed as a DP, but they're not paying him as one. Parzival, it is a let me get the semantics of it right here. And I want to get, so I know that sounded incredible. All right, so no, you want to look at Michelle Kaufman's stuff from the Miami Herald, and they want you to subscribe. Not interested. All right, so let's see. Going back to January, Atlanta planned to use the offseason buyout to pay a portion of the salary. An offseason buyout allows the club the chance to free up the corresponding salary budget space, which removes Martinez as a designated player from Atlanta's roster. Martinez is then expected to sign with Miami, which will pick up the remainder of the salary, which will be under the threshold that would require a DP slot. So this is how it was worded back in January. Here's how it looks. So Atlanta uses the buyout to pay a portion of the salary. Off-season buyout allows the club the chance to free up the corresponding salary budget space, which removes him as a DP from Atlanta's roster. Then signs with Miami, picks up the remainder of the salary under the threshold that would require a DP slot. So according to The Athletic at the time, Tenorio and Stejkal, the structure of the deal was similar to the one that Josie had when he left Toronto and joined New England. And so that's where you go. Basically, you're helping out with the salary, and then he goes to a new team. The salary that he has for the new team is under the DP line. So there you go. But yeah, your DPs are Campana, Gregory, Pizarro. Messi inbound, apparently, possibly, probably, maybe. Busquets inbound, possibly, probably, maybe, perhaps. Third DP slot. So right now you've got 5 dudes that could be DPs. So that's where you are. Emilio wouldn't be happy if he was a young player in their system. Messi and friends will only hamper Inter Messi for a bit. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be 2.5 years. And then that whole thing, the drawing eyes to the Herons, it'll be up on the Herons because Messi is not going to play, I don't think, past 2.5 years. Shooter already laying the groundwork for the Revs Inter Messi matchup. Ian Harkes is going to work Messi in that loser franchise. So we'll keep an eye on that. Ian Harkes was another one of the transfers that happened yesterday. So we'll keep an eye on that one. That was an interesting one. With what we've seen from Ian Harkes, spent the last 4.5 years with Dundee United after 2 seasons with DC United. Signed as a free through the 23 season, 2-year club options, 24 and 25. Revs acquired his MLS rights from DC United for their second-round pick in the 24 Super Draft and a conditional $50,000 in 2025 GAM. Do that math. Hark's best season at Dundee came in 21-22, 37 goals, 4 appearances, named the 4th-place Tangerines Player of the Year. They were 12th out of 12 in the Premiership last year. Got another couple of deals to talk about, too. Yeah, and then that's the thing, Ricky. It's you got to get your outbound figured out before you can bring in your inbound. Shooter, I got some 10 jerseys to sell. He was going to have a heart attack. Happy third test day. Absolutely. And Ricky, this was the other piece of news that I had kind of hung on to a little bit. And this was that interesting piece with the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Tampa Bay is losing their head coach. Barnsley is picking up Neil Collins. So Collins is going to coach one last match this weekend before he goes. They've agreed on terms, and it's in League One. So one more home match for Neil Collins, and then he goes to League One to take over Barnsley. Appointed head coach of the Rowdies in May of 2018 after a 2-year playing stint with the club, 67 matches. 6 seasons, 98 wins in 175 matches in charge. 2021 USL Championship Coach of the Year. Best regular season record with that club, a club record of 71 points. 4 straight playoff appearances, 2 Eastern Conference titles. Tied for 4th in USL Championship history with 85 wins going into the match this weekend. Tied with Richmond Kickers legend Lee Cowlishaw. So if he wins, he's ahead. He becomes 4th on his own after knocking off Lee Cowlishaw, 85, 39, and 34. So Neil Collins, Tampa Bay and Oakland roots. Stuart Dobson will serve as the interim. But Neil Collins to Barnsley. Neil Collins to Barnsley. Very, very interesting. And that's big news for the USL Championship, by the way. Big news. Big news, big news. Bam, who is celebrating day 3 of the test. Montreal got a steal with Mahala. That was one of the other deals that we had that was locked in here. So this is the one that you look at the numbers and you're like, holy ish. CF Montreal paid $1.75 million in GAM to acquire Mahala Opoku from LAFC. And this is why Bam is in tears this morning. 9 goals in 2020, 7 assists in 60 regular season games. Played on all 4 playoff matches en route to the title. Scoring in the win over Austin FC. $1,650,000 in 2023 GAM and another $100,000 in 24. In a separate move, Montreal acquired $100,000 in 2024 GAM from LAFC for a 2023 international roster spot. So that's a lot of damn am to bring in a player. And so Hernan Losada better figure out what's going on. You want to do that? Then that's the one right there. I mean, $1,750,000. $1,750,000 in AM. And I'm trying to see if that is where Jake Edwards went, and it would make sense if Jake Edwards did go to Barnsley. Huddersfield. Jake Edwards went to Huddersfield Town to be with Kevin Nagel, so close. Kevin Nagel owns Sacramento Republic, and he brought in Jake Edwards to be the new chief executive officer. So that's where you're staring. That's what you're staring at. Abby, I have not seen anything about Mosqueda practicing. I have not seen anything about Mosqueda. Ricky, Erling Haaland reportedly going to be on the cover of EA Sports FC. Well, yeah. The year he had, better be. David, you can buy down a DP. You can. And that's why I think so Miami could move him to GAM, assume they did this not to use all their GAM. And when you look at this, what I think happens is this. To clear up the DP runway, I think that Campana goes. I think that Pizarro definitely goes. And I think that Gregory gets bought down. I think that's what is happening. So keep an eye on that. That's what I think happens. I think that Gregory stays and gets bought down. And I think that the other two end up finding new homes. So that's what you're staring at. But the interest in Pizarro and Campana, and there's been talk about Campana heading back to Europe. Once again, I think that that's the interesting part of all of this. You can't have – I don't think you can sit there and have 5 DPs. You've got to have 3. And so I think the outbound has to happen first before your inbound happens. Emilio, should other owners want an explanation of the Miami DP situation? Not unless you get all of them signed. I mean, they're all signed at the same time. But I think you have technically until the end of the window to get everything squared away. Like I said, for me, it is get your outbound figured out, then bring in your inbound, and then that way nobody sits there and goes, hey, wait a minute, what's going on here? And I think that if all the DPs stayed, I think that would be where David, folks are still would be like, dude, bruh. I think that if all the current DPs stayed, which I don't think they are, I think that once again you give them till the end of the window to get everything squared away, and then you sit there and it's like, all right, so what's going on here, guys? Who's staying? Who's going? And what's the deal? So I think that that's what you're staring at. All right, so. Yeah, there is a reduction of allocation dollars of just over $2.25 million. for here are the punishments. David was wondering if they're still under GAM punishment. Yeah, they are definitely they're in GAM jail right now. So here's after the investigation into the signing of Blaise Matuidi. Here's how it was explained by the league at the time. Incorrect roster categorization for Blaise Matuidi and Andres Reyes, who should have occupied DP slots. Violation also included undisclosed agreements that resulted in the underreporting of salary budget amounts for LGP Nico Figal and Julian Carranza. $2 million fine to the club, $250,000 fine to managing owner Jorge Mas. Paul McDonough, remember, got suspended through the end of the 22 season. MLS imposes a reduction of $2,271,250. So basically $2.25 million reduction in allocation dollars for the 22 and 23 seasons. So they're still in GAM jail. They're still in AM jail. Sorry. They're still in AM jail for one more year. So that's what you're staring at. Fine $2 million. Allocation dollars reduced by $2.25 million. McDonough got suspended. Moss got fined. No wrongdoing from Claure, Masayoshi Son, Jose Mas, and David Beckham. So that was your punishment. So one more year of AM jail for Intermessi FC. Abby's posting her new Olive and York jersey. See, now, when somebody posts me an Olive and York jersey, I've got to look at it instantly because, frankly, Olive and York has become my second. Outfitter. That's the word I'm looking for. Is outfitter. That's my problem. Very cool stuff. Yes, and Abby's a Fort Lauderdale Strikers person, so she hates the Rowdies. Tafka. Montreal seems to overpay a lot lately. Their deal for Duke was excessive, too. And I think what Montreal is hoping, Tafka, is that the relationship between Duke and Opoku will help them offensively. You know, they obviously spending the time together in Los Angeles. Sorry, Bam. Will help out things offensively for them going forward. Because if you look at how things are, right now they're 9th in the East, but they've only scored 20 goals in 20 matches. That puts them tied for 3rd worst in the Eastern Conference in goals scored. Red Bulls and Toronto have each scored 18. Inter Miami and Montreal have scored 20. So 3rd worst right now in all of Major League Soccer, or in the Eastern Conference. And then Colorado's only scored 14. LA has scored 20. So, 5th worst in a league of 29 teams? They need offensive help, and I'm thinking that they're looking at the relationship between Opoku and Duke and hoping that can get things moving. Bam is hoping that Mahala leaves Montreal and heads overseas after this season. Sam and Abby. All right. So Sam would take Campana. Abby's like, Campana's been a thorn in our side. I would take him. And so there you go. Parzival wants to know about Muyumba and how he's going to plug into the system. Let's see. The video got released, and I think he's a central defensive mid. But I will post a link to video of. So it would be your required viewing of the day. And looking at Muyumba does and where he, just as an example, as to what Muyumba can do. So we'll keep an eye on that stuff. So there's that's part. You can go down to the Tristan Muyumba rabbit hole, but that's just one example of what Muyumba can do. So you're looking at all of that. Also on the board yesterday, we were talking about other moves. And Philadelphia loaned Brendan Craig to Austin for the remainder of the 23 season. Brendan Craig not really getting a whole lot of playing time because you know how logjam that defense is, especially when it's healthy in Philly. So Brendan Craig, a U20 defender, needed playing time. Austin needed help defensively, and so they got him on loan. In return, the Union get Austin's natural third-round draft pick in the 2024 Super Draft and up to $125,000 in 2024 conditional GAM. Craig was one of the standouts for the U.S. in the 2023 U20 World Cup, and obviously with Elliott, Glesnes, and Lowe, he's not getting to play. Austin needed help at center back, where they've had to use Alex Ring. We've seen that a lot alongside Julio Cascante because of a lot of injuries. And so Brendan Craig loaned to Austin. It's a good piece of business, I think, for Austin because they need help, and a good piece of business for Philly because they get something for a player that isn't really getting a whole lot of playing time. So it's a loan. So there you go. Parzival wants to know if he's central. Do you drop another midfielder? Gutman, I guess, is opening up Wiley to start. Probably, yeah. Meaning Wiley starting and then trying to figure out how things are. But if you want to shore things up defensively, that's what you're looking at. Garth was on 92.9 this morning with Trib. Welcome back, Trib. Still a work in progress, looking to make 2 or 3 additions during the summer, so there's more to come sooner rather than later. Sooner rather than later. Keep an eye on that from Garth. And so, very, 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 very busy man. And by the way, Ricky won. Ricky was faster on the draw, Tom. But work in progress, a couple more moves. So you're trying to find another couple of pieces. Be interesting to see where they line up and what happens with them this morning. So let's see. And then this Threads thing, it's like you're getting notifications on your phone. So-and-so is now following you. And I'm going, okay, well, I don't know who so-and-so is. All right. Marco Asensio has joined PSG on a deal through 2026. Pictures are now out for Sandro Tonali, and I know that we've got to get Nick on to talk about what's going on with that club because Nick is not happy. Nick is not happy about it. Tonali to Newcastle. He's officially been had a picture taken of him in a Newcastle shirt. Real Madrid. As I know, we're kind of bouncing around all over the place. Confirmed 18-year-old midfielder Arda Güler has joined from Fenerbahce on a 6-year deal, €20 million fee, $10 million in add-ons, 20% sell-on clause. So Güler is now part of Real Madrid. Azpilicueta, just for your notes from our friend Ben Jacobs, arrived at Chelsea from Marseille for just £7 million in 2012. 11 years, 9 trophies later, 508 appearances. So that's what you're staring at from Azpilicueta. Well, Abby, can't quite be Nick would have to come hopping in at 10 o'clock because we got Nico planned at 10:30, so we'll keep an eye on that. Bam, thanks for hanging out as always. Muyumba turns out to be another good signing for the team. Do we stop hearing the Boca out crowd? Parsifal, I don't think so. There's always going to be folks who are always going to have that, regardless of the level of success. That's how folks are wired these days. You're always going to have folks who are going to say what they're going to say. Doesn't matter the level of success that's attached to any kind of a move. You're always going to have folks. I mean, it's just a fact of life. It doesn't matter if we're talking about soccer or we're talking about anything that's attached to anybody. You're always going to have, regardless of whatever part of life you're in, pick a topic. There's always going to be folks that are going to be attached to a point of view. Doesn't matter how much success or goodness is attached from the opposite. And so I doubt it. You're always going to have folks who are always going to want to say things regardless of, and like I said, I'm not just talking about soccer and I'm not just talking locally. There's always going to be folks who always want to say something negative about something in any aspect of life. So just as a blanket, doubt it. Yes, Abby, yes. Abby's by herself except for the pups, and so Abby's typing quickly. Yeah, so Niko's at 10:30. Nick, as you well know, can hop in at any time and discuss what's going on with his team. And he has not been happy in our production thread discussing what has been going on. And he is still not happy with the club that and the hedge fund that is running them right now. Because if they're chasing after folks like Christian Pulisic and Callum Hudson-Odoi, then and letting folks like Tonali go, Nick is not happy with Redbird and with Cardinal. So any opportunity that Nick has to come on this show, and what we do when he comes on, we make sure that everyone understands. Oh, there you go. Foreigner and Loverboy tonight. That's up. I think that's up in Alpharetta. Foreigner and Loverboy should be an interesting girls' night tonight. That should be pretty sweet. That should be a cool concert. Forgot where I was going, but you've got all of these things happening. So we'll keep an eye on all of it. Completely and totally lost my train of thought. Foreigner and Loverboy will do that. So Foreigner and Loverboy lost my train of thought. So I think that means one thing. That means that it's time to read a promo. Yeah, any 80s AOR definitely gets me off track. And so it's time to read a promo. Odor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go. It's a Lemonize service. QR code over my left shoulder for those of you watching on Twitch. A Lemonize deodorizes enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. They've created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pets, cigarettes, and food. Realtors and property managers use the Lemonize service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. It's a turnkey process. Makes it easy to work with said realtors and property managers. Kind of the environment, we like that. Very green way of going about things, about getting rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Green, we like that. Different than Febreze or our other masking agents that we have either under the sink or above us in the cupboard. I actually remembered my train of thought now. It had to do with Nick and hedge funds and how he's not a fan of one current hedge fund. We talked about Redbird a lot. And so, yeah, Nick is just fired up beyond belief. We'll probably have to get out the explicit rating or he's going to bite his tongue, one of the two, when he comes on next time to talk about what's going on at Milan. Different Febreze or your favorite other masking agents when it comes to a Lemonize, different from them because when you reach under the sink or above you in the cupboard, you pull out that masking agent, you spray it in the air, and there's a reason it's called a masking agent. It doesn't attack the odor, it just masks it. All the way down to the molecules where a Lemonize attacks these odors with their proven scientific formula. Pricing very, very easy, either by the cubic foot or parts per million, to come up with a price that's affordable for you, offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, one place you need to go is the website. And this is where I get out my pen. Homework assignment at the website, lemonize.com, but do us a favor. After the .com, go /Atlanta so they know what part of the world that you are addressing them from so they can help you with your problem. Full homework assignment. ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, lemonize.com /Atlanta for odor-free, clean, fresh air. It is a Lemonize service, proud sponsors of everything SDH for your Thursday thoughts. So it's lemonize.com /Atlanta. But yeah, Nick is all kinds of fired up about what's going on with Redbird and Cardinal and Pulisic possibly coming in, and he doesn't care. And oh yeah, he's all fired up. So yeah. we'll get you squared away there. Moreno. Sam is Moreno's pissed in Portland, requesting a transfer. Let me see what I don't know, but I mean that's the thing is like Moreno. Where does he fit? That's the thing. It's like we can sit there and we can look at all of these different dudes and go, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be great. Would he fit? Would he help? Would he take and this is also, you got to look at, you've got to look at philosophy. Would he fit the philosophy that would be going on at with Atlanta United? And Doug also mentions the idea could be weeks before Muyumba plays for Atlanta United. Gigi's visa took 3+ weeks, signed on February 8th, first game March 4. Then Muyumba's got to become fit while learning tactics. So, yeah, no, that's true. So, but we all also know, and a lot of the lawyering depends on also the amount of traffic that the lawyers are having to contend with also. So we'll see what happens with the Muyumba visa, ITC, all those things. We'll keep an eye. We'll keep an eye on all of that. All of it. So we'll keep an eye on what's going on with the inbounds and the outbounds. Yes, Abby at her concert tonight hopes to be in front of the lawn chairs. Yes, look for crutches. Ricky's like he was linked to us before, meaning Moreno, so we'll see what happens. Emilio saw Journey and Loverboy back in 81. Wow. Can't get there too early. Yeah, I did wear out ESC 4P3 for Journey. I absolutely did that. No doubt. Well done, Sam. Off topic, but that's Thursday Thoughts. Your cousin opened for Zach Bryan at Red Rocks last week. He's 19. Jarrett was actually at Red Rocks last night to partake in Red Rocks. Apparently, Red Rocks is a must-do thing. If you've got tickets or you can go see something at Red Rocks, go to Red Rocks and catch a concert. So we'll keep an eye. Sporting Kansas City, breaking news, has signed Felipe, returning for a second stint. 3-year stint as a DP from 18 to 20, signed an MLS contract through 23 with a club option for 24, added to Sporting's roster pending receipt of his ITC. Additionally, Sporting has placed defender Courtney Ford on the season-ending injury list, opening an additional slot on the Cubs 23 roster in accordance with MLS rules. Gutierrez, we all know about his history. 62 goals, 46 assists, 379 appearances since 2009. La Liga, Eredivisie, Brazilian Serie A, Chilean Primera, and MLS. 35 caps for Chile in 2014 World Cup, 2015 Copa America champion. 19 goals, 9 assists in his first spell from 18 to 20, 63 matches. Gutierrez has competed for Universidad Católica in Chile, the Colorado Rapids, and Al Wasl in the UAE. So, going through his entire career, Gutierrez spent the first 6 months of 2023 with Al Wasl in the UAE, recording a goal and 2 assists and 9 appearances. So, comes over from Al Wasl in the UAE. Felipe is back as a 32-year-old midfielder for Sporting Kansas City. So, news for Sporting Kansas City this morning. And we're going to be bouncing around like international news. Arsenal confirms Reece Nelson signed a new 4-year deal. Saliba's 4+1 year extension also done and will be announced soon. So keep an eye on all of that. Let's get into gossip, rumor, innuendo, and what to watch today. Because once again, Niko Moreno joining us at the bottom of the hour. And let's see. So, what to watch? And by the way, if you have Soccer America, Kevin Kratz is interviewed by Arlo Moore Bloom on the Atlanta United's U16 champs and Tata Martino and Youth Soccer Comparisons. So if you've got a subscription to Soccer America, or maybe you could sign into a guest thing, Kevin Kratz interviewed by Arlo Moore Bloom. Very, very cool. Today, Golazo Network, Argentine Primera at 3:30, a part of Paramount Plus's coverage of the Argentine Primera. 6 matches in the Primera, by the way, on Paramount Plus. Arsenal and our friends at Defensa y Justicia at 1. Union Santa Fe Boca Juniors at 3:30. 2 at 6, Argentinos Juniors Instituto, Sarmiento, and Talleres Cordoba. 8:30, Belgrano, Barraca Central, and Huracan and Atletico Tucumán. VIX has the UEFA Under-19 Men's Championship, Portugal and Italy at 11:50, Malta and Poland at 3:05. So that's your viewing today with what's going on in the world of soccer. It's light, kind of getting into what happens this time of year, and also getting ready for Leagues Cup and the Women's World Cup coming up in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, man. 2 weeks. Spurs have made England forward Harry Kane an offer to remain with the club that would hugely improve his £200,000 a week salary, according to our friends at The Guardian. That's what Crystal Palace is currently offering Wilfried Zaha to stay, and that would be a club record to do it. And apparently, we did mention Arda Güler, Ricky. Daniel Levy's pissed. According to our friends at Bild, Bayern Munich manager Thomas Tuchel has met with Kane to discuss a potential move, which has angered Daniel Levy. So what? 4-letter paper mentions AC Milan making the improved bid of £19 million for Christian Pulisic. There was a Ligue 1 side that was also interested, but I do not believe Christian Pulisic was interested. I believe in going to Lyon. Inter Milan have rejected a £39 million bid by Manchester United for keeper Andre Onana. Talks continue. Chelsea are preparing to offer £85 million for Moises Caicedo. Brighton's looking for somewhere in the neighborhood of $100 million. Arsenal have agreed on a £38.5 million deal with Ajax for Jurrien Timber. Gunners are set to take their summer spending to £200 million after agreeing to deals for Timber and Declan Rice. Declan Rice looks like it's now 100 plus 5. That's going to go down. Newcastle leading the race for Leicester City's Harvey Barnes, while Villa, Spurs, and West Ham are also interested. Sorry, Knicks. Chelsea have opened talks with the reps of Paulo Dybala over a move from Roma. Blues are also interested in Southampton's Romeo Lavia, midfielder who's 19. And once again, as we've talked about in the past, when it comes to all of these Southampton players and the valuations of inter-English transfers, for lack of a better way to phrase it, transfers inside the Premier League or from the Championship to the Premier League are it's so overinflated. Valuations of Southampton players upwards of £50 million. Are you kidding me? It's just the valuations of players within the Premier League. I mean, it's virtually monopoly money. It is virtually monopoly money when you're looking at these things. Manchester United's Mason Mount rejected a £200,000 a week offer by Chelsea to try and stay. Villa and Everton among the Premier League teams keen on Leeds forward Wilfried Gnonto, who's 19. I think Daniel Farke is interested in keeping Gnonto. Liverpool remain interested in Levi Colwill, who Chelsea want to keep. Red center back targets also include Sporting Lisbon's Gonçalo Inacio, who's 21, and Wolfsburg's Mickey van de Ven, who's 22. Arsenal have confirmed that Ethan Nwaneri is staying with the club despite attempts from Chelsea to poach the English midfielder, who's all of 16, with interest coming from both Manchester franchises. Although Nwaneri signed a new scholarship deal, Arsenal are set to face a fight to keep him next March when he turns 17 and he gets to sign his first professional deal. DC United manager Wayne Rooney wants to keep Lewis O'Brien from Nottingham Forest, with Sheffield United also interested in signing him. Inter Miami, now this is from Relevo, and this is also, once again, this is in Portuguese, so keep this in mind. Inter Miami have focused on trying to make Eden Hazard their latest big-name signing, with the Belgium forward a free agent after leaving Real Madrid. Eden Hazard. Seriously. All right. I'll bite. Let's go to our friends at Transfermarkt. What has Eden Hazard been up to? Ricky, we'll get into that in just a second. I have a thought. Ricky wants to know where they're getting all this money. So Eden Hazard currently without Club FC. His current market valuation is only €5 million, which I find interesting. So let's get into all seasons. Thank you, Abby. I'll try not to. All right. So La Liga, Champions League, Copa del Rey, Super Copa, UEFA Super Cup. Last year, 10 total appearances for Eden Hazard. 1 goal, 2 assists. 21-22, Champions League, La Liga, Copa del Rey, Super Copa. 23 total appearances. 1 goal, 2 assists. La Liga, Champions League, Copa del Rey, Super Copa 2021. Obviously, for limited reasons, 21 appearances, 4 goals, and 1 assist. Champions League and La Liga in 1920, 22 matches, a goal, 7 assists. Europa League, Premier League, EFL Cup, FA Cup 18-19, 52 appearances. So he has not played in over 25 matches since the 18-19 season. I could understand for a 32-year-old left winger that you probably wouldn't have to pay a DP for him. I would think. I would think. Yeah, Madrid was awful for Eden Hazard. But so I didn't lose the thought. I think what you'll see, and the deal with Lionel Messi was the indicator of this for me. You'll probably see more of those NIL deals that we talk about, for lack of a better word. Don't be surprised if you see more of those to help out with salary numbers, unless you have a player like Eden Hazard, who is 32 years old, has a transfer market value of €5 million, and wants to come over to help out, allegedly Inter Miami, possibly, probably, maybe. I would think, much like Jordi Alba, if that does happen for next year, that Eden Hazard would be an AM deal. I would think it would be. His salary would be intriguing. But I think what you'll see with a lot of big name players is that you'll probably see more of these NIL kind of deals than something that might be straight salary. Hey, we'll pay you less, but then you get to make this number, you get to make this marker, and you get to do more. Yeah, Sam, the whole last couple of years for Eden Hazard have just been, it's just been bad. Katie Weaver would love for Kane to stay, but if it means the rest of the group is stuck in mediocrity, relying on Kane to bail him out, I don't want that for Harry. And I would imagine you don't want the same thing like that for Youngmin Son either. You've got to, and this is a point that we made a couple of times on the show, and Jared's made it, and we've all kind of mentioned it. I think, Katie, you've been a part of this too. Spurs fans want what's best for Youngmin Son and for Harry Kane. And the way things currently are, I think that a lot of Spurs fans are of a mind of giving good homes to Kane and Son and rebuilding. It might be blowing it up, might be rebuilding. But I think that what Spurs fans normally want to do is they want to give Kane and Son good homes because of everything that they've done. And then work it out from there. Take the money, reinvest it, figure out things to go there. and go like that. So it would not surprise at all if something but Daniel Levy's got to want to do it. He's got to have that want to gene. I don't know if he's got it. I think if he explained it as we want to do right by the player and we want to do right by the rebuilding of the franchise after letting the two of them go, I would think Spurs fans would understand. Give Kane a good home, give Son a good home. We'll take the money, we'll reinvest it, we'll go to the youth, we'll go the youth way, we'll go the younger players, and we'll build that way. But who knows? And Ricky, to your point, yeah, Karim Benzema going absolutely nuts these last couple of seasons really hurt Hazard's playing time, but did not hurt his time at the training table, or didn't hurt his time at the training table. So we'll keep an eye on Eden Hazard. Eden Hazard. Okay, sure, why not? Daily Blind is about to sign for Girona after leaving Bayern Munich also. So we'll keep an eye on all of those. But yeah, Eden Hazard. Really? Eden Hazard. Sure, why not? Going to our friends at Sky. Trying to see Manchester City's breaking the British record to sign Jill Roord on the women's side. 26-year-old midfielder paying a fee in excess of £300 million. Congratulations. Good work. Chelsea's going to formalize the Caicedo interest. Inter is working on Romelu Lukaku. Of course they are. Trying to get the wording of that one squared away. Inter working on a deal to sign Lukaku. Chelsea's stance remains unchanged as they have no intention of allowing the Belgium international to leave on a straight loan. Inter are thought to favor a loan with an obligation to buy. Lukaku wants to return to the San Siro after spending last year on loan to the Champions League finalists. And Milan working on the Pulisic move. Pulisic would favor a move to Milan over Lyon. Lyon have an offer on the table, €25 million for the 24-year-old. So looking at that. Southampton is confident that they'll get the $50 million for Romeo Lavia. Sure, okay. Why not? Always be confident. Leverkusen have agreed to a deal on Granit Xhaka. Looks like the fee is going to be worth €25 million or more. 297 appearances, 7 seasons. Entered the final year of his deal, turned 31 in September. Formal announcement set in the next 24 hours. So keeping an eye on that. Looking at the papers, seeing if there's anything that we've missed when it came to all of the and the injuries, no doubt, for Eden Hazard. Mbappe warned players will be sold if he leaves PSG for free next summer. Mbappe has been warned. Mbappe recently sent a letter to PSG saying he would not extend the contract with the deal due to expire next summer. Nasser Al-Khelaifi says the forward needs to sign a new deal as the club will not risk losing the best player in the world for free. Khalifi definitely wants to avoid that. France striker later clarified he had not asked the club to allow him to move to Real Madrid, who've tried and failed to get him in the past. PSG faced the dilemma of allowing Mbappe to run down the final 12 months of his deal and being unable to recoup any of the €180 million they spent to sign him from Monaco back in 2017. Ligue 1 top scorer the last 5 seasons, eager to keep him after having already lost Messi. Mbappe also said French President Emmanuel Macron had no influence on his career choices after the leader said he would push for the forward to stay in his country's capital. Sure. Yeah, the president of the country is going to have absolute say on my future. Sure he is. Absolutely positive. Avoiding the 3 and the 4 letter paper to see if there's any other news that's out there. Sir Jim Ratcliffe actually went public and said that he's still in the race to buy Manchester United, says his bid is just what the club needs. Remember, the Saudi Foundation is 100% pickup. Sir Jim Ratcliffe's is for most of it, but still allows the Glazers to have their hands in it. And that's why folks are kind of sitting there and being all kind of, uncomfortable about it. Daily Mirror, Arsenal likely to face another battle to keep prize teenager Ethan Nwaneri. We talked about that, getting that first deal. Iniesta is the latest former teammate being linked with a Lionel Messi reunion at Inter Miami after ending his 5-year spell with Vissel Kobe. So now it's, all right, so it is Busquets, it is Messi, and the and friends is now, and help me if I've missed anybody, Jordi Alba, Eden Hazard, Andres Iniesta. So that's what you're looking at as of right now. Names attached to the deal. Sure. Why not? Lower divisions. Wrexham will not get carried away in the transfer market following their promotion to the EFL, according to assistant manager Steve Parkin, nor should they. Biggest thing, legitimately, and I'll say this, I think that Wrexham can get out of League Two this year. I think if they do some more spending, I think that they can get things squared away. I think they can get out of League Two. League One is where it gets difficult. And that shows you how serious the owners are going to be. In any club that has made it out of non-league football to League Two to League One. If they get to League One, that's when the serious investment's going to have to happen, and that's when the serious the serious stuff is really getting squared away. So keep an eye on all that. The FA has been warned selling the rights to the FA Cup to the Premier League will seriously weaken the historic competition. Well, because then the Premier League teams could pretty much decide whether or not they were going to be in it and to what extent they're going to be in it too. Keep an eye on that. Arsenal could snatch up, according to the Daily Express, one of Manchester United's summer targets from under their nose as they consider an offer for Bayer Leverkusen fullback Jeremy Frimpong. And according to the Daily Express, Harry Kane is ready to threaten to quit Tottenham on a free in a bid to push through a move to Bayern Munich this summer, according to reports. Oh, and we mentioned Pizarro. Let me get to Pizarro last. Chelsea set to complete the signing of Everton's teenage defender Ish Samuel Smith for a fee of around £4 million. Liverpool Academy analyst Ray Sherwood has left Anfield to join Gerrard's backroom staff at Al Ettifaq. Jordi Alba, we talked about that. Arsene Wenger statue soon to be unveiled at the Emirates. Shakhtar Donetsk CEO Sergei Paukin said he's hoping to reach a solution with Spurs over the Manor Solomon proposed summer move. Liverpool forward Cade Gordon set to return to full training later this month after a year and a half on the sidelines. Porto want to sign Chelsea midfielder Andre Santos on loan, but the Brazilian expected to stay with Mauricio Pochettino's side in the preseason. That's from the Evening Standard. Daily Record, Rangers appear to have cooled their interest in signing Morgan Whitaker from Swansea City, who's again being linked to his former loan club, Plymouth Argyle. Benny Traore has opened the door to a move away from BK Häcken, with both Rangers Sheffield United reportedly chasing a deal. Rangers ready to end Old Firm away fan lockouts by extending an olive branch to Celtic. Bruce Anderson's turned down a chance to become the first Scot to play in Georgia. Tom Bogert, 14 minutes ago. Atlanta United are loaning midfielder Franco Ibarra to another MLS club. Sources with knowledge of the deal tell The Athletic. Sources granted anonymity as they're not authorized to discuss the deal publicly. The club is not yet confirmed, held out of training. We knew that. Atlanta need to send out one of their U22s to be roster compliant, with Mosqueda returning from loan, Eric Lopez remaining with the club, Santi Sosa is the other U22. So, apparently there is something to it. All right. So we'll keep an eye on that. That was interesting. Yeah, because, Uncle, there are 4 U22s right now on the roster. Mosqueda, Lopez, Sosa, Franco Ibarra. And according to Tom Bogert in The Athletic, Atlanta United are loaning Ibarra to another club. So we'll keep an eye on that. That's interesting news this morning. Don't know. Well, I mean, and if you look at it strictly from a and like I said, this is when you look at what is available, and it's a decision that you have to make. It's about what a team would want as well. Santi Sosa, Santi Sosa for me, when he's healthy, that's what you want. But he hasn't been healthy 100% of the time. Mosqueda's back from loan. Eric Lopez is with the twos. Eric Lopez is coming back from injury. Well, and Unc, I know where you're heading with this. I know what you're saying. But if you have to loan somebody out, I mean, you really don't have a whole lot of choice because, I mean, and let's just look at it straight up as it is. But when he was signed under the contract, it was when he was signed. So Sosa was signed as a U22 initiative. No club is going to be interested in a player if they're not 100% healthy. Eric Lopez is coming back from injury. I think when the contract is up, Abby, I think so. But let me get the Atlanta United, and I think Santi's deal is up at the end of this year, as a matter of fact. So let me get what we're staring at here. Hit return. There we go. All right. It's like you think you hit return and then it doesn't show up. So getting into the details of salaries. Santi has 1 more year left on his deal. Santi is a 2024 decision. Eric Lopez is a 2024 decision. So, but legitimately, when you look at the other players, yeah, and there is, but it's just, having the salary, having the space to do it, having the roster spot available to do it, converting someone from a U22 to a regular roster spot. There's cap considerations to be made, and there's other stuff that have to be under consideration in something like this. And that's the thing. You look at the others that are there. Mosqueda, who would someone be interested in Mosqueda? Eric Lopez once again, and Santi Sosa. So Lopez coming back from injury or injured. Sosa coming back from injury or injured. Mosqueda back on loan in limited time in Major League Soccer. So the only desirable, marketable whatever word you want to use, U22 by process of elimination would be Franco Ibarra. So that's what you're staring at. And so that's where Atlanta United is. Tom Bogert, Atlanta United loaning Franco Ibarra to another MLS club. Sources with the knowledge of the deal tell The Athletic. Sources granted anonymity as they're not authorized to discuss the deal publicly. The club has not yet confirmed. So that's where we are. Keep an eye on that. What we've seen from Franco Ibarra has been nothing short of it's a great progression with Franco Ibarra. So keep an eye on that. That's where we are. Definitely something to keep an eye on to get roster compliant. So that's where we are. All right. So keep an eye on that going forward. Remember the decisions, the contract decisions for this year. Westberg, Gazan, Ozzy Alonso, Clement Diop, Sejdic, Hosechu, Miles, Jackson Conway, Purata's loan, Firmino, Aiden McFadden, Miguel Berry, Luke Brennan. But Brennan is going to evolve into a first-team contract. So Berry, McFadden, Firmino, Purata's loan, Conway, Miles, Hosechu, Sejdic, Clement Diop, Ozzy Alonso, Brad Gazan, Quentin Westberg. That's what you're staring at. Those are the contracts that are supposed to end by the end of this season. So, yep. So we'll keep an eye on all that. So, yeah, that was an interesting piece to come across this morning. Pizarro. That was the other thing I was going to get into. So, Pizarro. Let's get into Pizarro not liking the rules of Major League Soccer. And let me find I want to find the article from our friends at The Athletic. So it's been a very, very busy morning for our friends at The Athletic. But yeah, Tata Martino, he's there. Inter Miami's confident over the signing of Jordi Alba. So let's see if we can find, where is the Pizarro? Where is it? So I can't quite find it. So of course I'm trying to find it here in the trying to find the thing. The quote, like you're trying to open up multiple windows. And like I said, I know that this is fantastic. This fantastic radio as you're trying to find a story. But yeah, Pizarro. Oh, an internal server error. Oh, that's great. You know, you're trying to find something about how folks are mad. And you can't find out why folks are mad. Well, anyway, Pizarro was not happy about the nothing wrong with it. So Rodolfo Pizarro, MLS trade rules. Let me see if I can do a Google search and it will give it to me there. Blast the transfer rules. Okay, so Marca. Okay. All right, so in Marca, Pizarro is a DP. And Marca is explaining the whole DP situation. Club's highest earner, $3 million a year. Pizarro's in a tough spot. I think it's the only league in the world that does this. He's expected to be the DP contract terminated to make room for Lionel Messi. I have a contract. I didn't know I could be traded anyways. It's a bit strange. I think MLS is the only league in the world that does this. Tata Martino was asked about Pizarro's future at the club. We know his situation. There's the football, and then there's the aspect that is strictly administrative regarding what his future will be. It won't be something that will be determined from a football perspective. So, Tata discussing Pizarro, and then you end up with Pizarro making $3.35 million. He spoke of the difficulties surrounding the situation. Didn't know I could be traded anyways. Didn't know I could be traded anyways. So, yeah, it looks like Pizarro's on his way out, so we'll keep an eye on that. So there we go. The interesting aspects of okay. The interesting aspects of everything going on in the world right now. So very, very intriguing, interesting stuff from Tom Bogert this morning. So hold on to your butts, was it? Samuel L. Jackson said in the movie. So we'll see what the deal is. But just remember that you've got all of these things squared away. And welcome to the transfer window. So, of course, that means since it is 10:35 for the final half hour of the show this morning on Thursdays, we bring in Niko Moreno from the Soccer Bar and Pulso Sports. No lid this morning. You must have been awake for a while, my friend.
I know. Well, that's one, too. I did get a haircut before the 4th. So, we got to stay looking a little fresh for the 4th. Usually you're out and about in the river, no hats, so you got to keep it fresh.
So how was the 4th, by the way, before we get into the secondary transfer window?
Oh, it was fantastic, man. Monday we did Emerald Downs here in Auburn, bet on some horses, watched the fireworks show. Saturday went down to a river with the family, 9:00 start. The wife and my sister-in-law did eggs and spam and a little griddle, and then afterwards some dogs and burgers later on tonight. So it was good stuff.
All right. We've got Gold Cup to talk about. We've got transfer window to talk about. Where do you want to start today?
We can get Gold Cup out of the way. If you want to do that.
Let's get Gold Cup out of the way. What's gone on your mind?
It's been interesting, man. I think it's quite hilarious that Mexico and the federation put so much into this Gold Cup, and they put all the pressure on themselves, while the USA and Canada were taking it out lightly, maybe as a tournament where they were rotating and trying to figure out what's out there outside the main pool of players. And yet they have been the ones that have been disappointed in so many ways. Panama's been interesting. Panama is a team that's been on the come up or trying to be on the come up for a little bit. It looks like they have a problem with depth. There's about 14, 15 players that are very good and could start day in, day out, but after that it gets a little bit flimsy. But Christensen's done a good job at trying to squeeze the lemon out of the juice out of the lemon, I'm sorry, trying to just work what he has. The El Salvador game wasn't great. I thought that they could have dominated that a little bit better. They're really missing pace changer in the midfield. So when they are in attacking, they have a very hard time just possessing the ball. And I think that's what could be an issue for them. But it's going to be fun. I still think Jamaica and the USA are the most cohesive and talented units on the field. And I think that might be the final. When you look at the bracket, I think they're the two teams that might get there. And people are going to be like, how? What? Mexico? Look, man, Mexico is a team that just has no cohesiveness. The defense is pretty shaky. I mean, that loss against Qatar, it's not just about the result, but it's about the inability for you to contain the one or two moments that Qatar got ahead, and no tracking the runner into the box, and your experienced center back doesn't know if he should go forward or check his hip, and gets gives up a soft goal. So with all that said, I don't know if Mexico has enough to get to the final.
And now we kind of got into it a little bit over having the country that hosted the last World Championship and has been a part of other things, and their airline is the major sponsor for the tournament. How bent out of shape are you about having a this particular nation attached to this particular tournament? I don't mind the guest spot because, I mean, if you look at something like Poker Face on Peacock, the guest spots happen every single episode, and it's really cool. But you've got the same guest that's recurring here. What do you think about having that particular country as a part of this tournament and things going on in this hemisphere?
Yeah, I think it's unnecessary. I got the forcefulness behind last year's World Cup and having to put them in every tournament, even in Copa America. But I don't know if I am sure they do not add any value in terms of soccer. They don't add any value in terms of anything else outside of the field either, because of clear situations with that country and that federation. So it just seems to be a money thing and a money grab that is unnecessary, and it should be provided to another team. CONCACAF has had plenty of other guests in their tournaments, and it just doesn't have to be Qatar. I haven't been impressed with what they provided. I don't think they added any additional revenue in terms of TV and people wanting to watch the games, right? I was more excited about watching some of the island teams that made it to this Gold Cup by earning it on the field rather than Qatar.
Yeah, and you are not alone in your assessment when it comes to having that particular country. And I mean, if you look at the last match day, Group C and D, where you had, I think, 24 goals in 4 matches, and one of them was a tennis set where no one broke serve. And you had a 6-4 game in Group C. And you got to see a full house at Red Bull Arena, which is something that folks are sitting there going, gee, that never happens for the Red Bulls. Well, guess what happens? You get to stare at that kind of stuff. But it's I know a lot of folks are looking at Mexico and thinking, oh, Mexico's back in this particular tournament, and the U.S. is bringing out a roster that is not like A++, but still getting the work done. So it's interesting to see the opinions working their way through and figure out what's going on at Gold Cup.
Yeah, I don't know who are those people, to be quite honest. I've gotten on quite a few Twitter spaces with Mexican media and Mexican fans in general, where I've been a part of, and the question continues to be, does the Mexican Federation need to copy exactly what the U.S. is doing? And it seems to be the trend, right? Because they're going to stop doing relegation as well. They're going to get into a bit of a MLS next type of developing leagues in the underline. So perhaps, and it just shows in this national team that seems to be out of sorts, man. I mean, you're talking about Alvarez and Regis having really poured this tournament. Santi Jimenez, I don't want to call him a bust because it's too early, but everybody was claiming that he could have been the game changer in the World Cup, and he hasn't quite shown that. Again, in Mexico, it seems to be a problem with developing, a problem with an identity, and believing that just dropping Coca and bringing in another guy was going to fix things. I mean, ask Toronto about how easy it is to just drop a coach and see if that changes everything in your life. It's just, I think there's a lot for Mexico. Mexico needs to really do a heavy rebuild and figure out what's going on.
All right, so we'll keep an eye on that. We are in the secondary transfer window, and right now, and one of our listeners earlier in the show was wondering, with the news coming out of Fort Lauderdale, where apparently, as Jarrett referred to it, man, they're looking to be a great FIFA. They're looking to be a great FIFA sports team from 2010 for your Nintendo system, with Messi, Busquets, possibly Jordi Alba. Iniesta has now been mentioned. Eden Hazard has been mentioned, and both of those last two, Iniesta and Hazard, were mentioned in the morning papers overseas today. You've got all of these folks possibly, probably, maybe heading to Fort Lauderdale. Is there anyone in the West that looks to be making that kind of a splash? Is there anyone on the books that could be doing that same kind of work to distract everybody to sit there and go, ooh, shiny object in the West. Is there anybody looking to do something like that?
I don't think so. Maybe LAFC. I mean, they just traded Opoku, which was interesting because I thought that Opoku was a very good player. He was a spark plug coming off the bench that could really change pace, that could stretch out defenses. So I'm guessing that LAFC is making room to bring a few players. I think the 9 situation still is a problem down there, with Carlos Vela diminishing his productivity, with Bouanga being as good as he is out wide and just being a guy that comes in from the outside in to score goals. So, I think that if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be LAFC. But other than that, and I'm not really sure if you're going to have that type of marketing, if you will, because, again, I'm very skeptical about everything that's coming up. I know for a fact that Busquets is going to be a DP. Obviously, Messi and, Rodolfo Pizarro is leaving, and Alba's apparently not going to be a DP, according to Tom Bogert. So where do these guys fit? How much of the salary is going? I don't believe the Hazard, Eden Hazard. I don't know if that's really a thing. It just looks like something that, everybody's going to Miami. Let's just throw this name out there. I don't think he fits what they need. I don't think he's one of Messi's boys either. Yeah. So if it's not, the bingo friends, then what's going on? And I don't know. Look, I really think that we're going to be looking at this project under the microscope. I know Chris Henderson, and none of these moves say Chris Henderson. So to me, there has to be a problem between David Beckham and his outlook on what his soccer project should look like, and maybe throwing his tantrums, and this is the team that I want. And obviously Messi being Messi, he's going to have his own demands. But man, I don't know if Alba is the solution, right? I mean, you have DeAndre Jedlin playing out right. I mean, of course you could switch some sides, but it just seems like you're putting your money on unnecessary positions when you have a bunch of needs. When you have no central midfield, where Arroyo is the one guy that's trying to help out there and he's doing what he can, but there's nothing else. And yes, this team has gotten a couple of decent performances because of the anemic component, is the mental component of saying, hey, this is tryouts. Tata's watching from up top like a high school coach. I got to show up and figure out if I'm going to keep my job. So I want to be doing what I can. But I just don't know if these players fit with what's coming in. So all in all, yes, big splash and shiny object are perfect adjectives to, or comparisons to what we are looking at in Miami. I just don't know if it's going to be as exciting and productive as you might think.
Yeah, and it looks like Messi had there are pictures of Messi wearing the number 10, and last time I checked, I think Rodolfo Pizarro should be pretty pissed off about something like that. But there's talk about
absolutely
Pizarro.
And he's pissed off. Man, you heard him this week. He's, man, I kind of hope that he could trade me within the league, because I'm sure he would love nothing but to get traded within this league and try to stick it to Miami at some point. He was disappointed about how his situation was handled. He doesn't know if he's going to Mexico, talk to his agent, talk to Chivas. I mean, it's a bad situation for a player that, yes, has not been amazing, but he also doesn't deserve to be treated like trash, or like he's the Sunday's garage sale where is all you got left over is that couch that nobody bought and you got a free sign on them. I mean, that's just not right. So I still think that Jordi Alba is, I wouldn't call it a long shot, but I think it is far from done. There's going to be a lot of moving components of that salary spaces and salary modifications for a team that got hit already for getting or trying to get by the rules of MLS. So I don't know. I still need to see it to believe it. But the Eden Hazard and all of that, I don't know if I believe that either.
All right, time for the red light, yellow light, green light on the weekly basis. And for those who are just watching our segment for the first time with Niko, because it is Thursdays with Niko, and this is how we traditionally wrap up the show. What we like to do is through Major League Soccer, sit there and say, okay, what team would Niko give the green light through? It's like no stop sign. They're just on a roll. Just let them go, and they're off and running. Yellow light could mean somebody kind of creeping up to the intersection. They gotta kind of look both ways. Can we make it through? Is everything fine, or is there something really wrong with the car and they got to slow down? It could be a yellow light going from red to green. It could be going from green to red. And then, of course, obviously the red light is the team that has all the wheels coming off, and it's just a mess to see the hood come up, the engine drop out, transmission all over everywhere, making oil spills and all that kind of stuff. And if it is a repeat team in any category, Niko has to sit here and say what the different reason is that he's having the club come in for the second week in a row. What direction do you want to start this week, sir?
Let's start with the red light, man. Let's start with the red light. Let's start with a known team in this category and the dead horse we keep beating, but they keep giving us reasons, John. They keep giving us reasons, and that's the name of the game. I'm talking about Toronto, man. I mean, how much worse can it get? I mean, I basically gave you a starter in the last segment talking about Gold Cup. I mean, Bob is gone, but the wannabe Bash brothers are still in Toronto, and now Bernadeschi tries to go UFC on Wilber Cartagena, and just obviously frustrated. This is a guy that apparently just seems to be one of those cancers to a group, if you will. We've already heard everything that you possibly wanted from a player that was bad for the team, bad for the locker room, that didn't want to listen to Bob, that wanted to do whatever he wanted. And now he's out here acting a fool in a 4-0 game that, Orlando just dominated. Orlando outshot on frame 9-0 this Toronto team, 9-0. I mean, it was incredible how bad they look. Absolutely. I mean, Martin Ojeda's out here looking like Lionel Messi, just shielding the ball from three midfielders, barely grabbing onto him because there seems to be no desire to dispose him of the ball, crossing the ball on a dime and making this Orlando team look amazing. They have the worst goal differential with minus 13 in the East. It was just a bad game, man. So there seems to be nothing about this Toronto team that could save them. I mean, it just seems like a heated mess, just atrocious club in and out. I just don't know how else to put it. But this 4-0 game was possibly one of the worst performances of the season, even if there are teams that are a little bit worse, like Colorado. But in one game, I haven't seen so many mistakes, so many bad transition moments. The rest defense was awful. I mean, it's not just the offense. It's just not the lack of productivity and the fact that you have a team that just doesn't want to play together. You got players saying they want to leave, but on the field, nothing happens for this Toronto team.
Yeah, Jason Nix, one of our A-listers in the Twitch pitch, basically says, "Who could have predicted Toronto's defensive troubles?" Oh wait, everyone.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just that's what happens when you spend a bunch of the pie in terms of money on two players, and you have a midfield that's old and outdated, and there is nobody that can possibly help you defensively as that initial filter, not just the back line, but that filter that just holds the play. I mean, it's just bad constructed team with an even worse two players in there. We might have the runner test of MLS here with Bernadeschi. Wow. So we'll see what happens.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you bring in Matt Hedges, you bring in Sean Johnson, but if you still have folks that have to, that still can't stop folks, then that's a problem with Toronto. So yeah, Toronto UFC 247, I think is where we are. I think that's where we are with Toronto. So no doubt they are on the red. So give me a yellow, and what direction are you going?
All right. I'm going to go yellow, and I'm going to go yellow that can turn into a green. I think they're moving on green, and it's not necessarily because they've been amazing on the pitch, but they're just loading up. And I don't know if anybody's seeing it. I don't know if anybody's watching it, but RSL took advantage of this terrible Toronto team, and they won kind of a stinker. I think Toronto could have probably tied that game pretty easily, but they're loading up, man. Chicharrongo still hasn't played. This attacking third is going to be unbelievable with Krylag and Carlos Gomez and Severino just dropping balls to Arango. Now they go and get a guy like Nelson Palacios, which is a 22-year-old Colombian that is physical. It's a box-to-box, Colombian national team youth. They have so much talent there with Pablo Ruiz, with Oviedo. Defensively, they seem to be solid. I mean, this squad a fourth right now in the Western Conference with what they have today. And now they're adding some really valued pieces, man. I think this squad is going to transition into the green group category here very soon. So I just wanted to point it out just in case anybody's missing it, because you might want to tune in and watch this team.
All right. So Chicho Arango for me for $7 million. I thought that was a steal and a half, getting Chicho Arango in for that price tag.
I agree. All with, is he going to be able to replicate it? Is he going to be able to, keep that pressure? He didn't do well in Mexico. Look, I understand the concerns and the people who are still skeptical about it, but the guy, he's a 9 with a sense for goal. I mean, he just has that breathing, tiger shark. I'm around the box and I'm just going to come out and hit. I mean, this guy's quality. And when you have the type of speed and services right behind them, because I think eventually they'll switch to a 4-2-3-1. This is going to be a good team.
All right, so then that leaves green light. And so who's the green light this week? Who is speeding through the intersection without any problems, and they're not going to get caught by the cops?
Look, I have to give props to San Luis. Again, I just think that that's another squad that's adding some pieces because Lowen hasn't been playing. Klaus hasn't been playing. And it looks like they're going to be getting ready to come back. I hear that they're going to be adding a couple of pieces, specifically out wide. So this team, first in the West, hasn't lost a beat. I mean, you saw LAFC being LAFC with their money, with their stars, whatever you want to call it, struggle, right? El Tráfico was phenomenal, was exciting, 84,000 plus watching this game, and LAG put it on LAFC. I mean, they just wanted it more. As much as LA Galaxy is still in the red category for me, and it takes a while for you to get out of there for me, they just showed that they wanted it more. So for me, LAFC struggling like this, and a team like San Luis that, regardless of what's going on, they know what they're about. They know what their play is. Even if they don't have a huge plan B on a game-to-game basis, if their initial plan A of pressuring and taking advantage and taking what the opponent gives them doesn't work, they tend to have issues getting out of that. But I'm just very impressed with what they've done. Sure, I mean, we could sit here and talk about Cincinnati, and we could talk about other teams, but San Luis, with Cornell, the identity, the stadium, I just have been impressed. Stroud, maybe I thought that he was just a player that was going to initially be good until somebody got a little bit of video on him. And no, he's been so good. Sam Adeniran, God, we miss him here in Seattle, man. I mean, that's just, I need to ask Craig here, Weibel, about it, because he's just been so good. Assists, goals, desire, pressure, just about everything he's giving you down there. So I just want to put them on that green category because they haven't lost a beat despite not having the biggest salaries, despite not having huge depth.
And with Sam, it started last year with the time that he had in San Antonio to help them win a USL championship. So it was we've seen Sam Adeniran in a couple of different ways contribute in a couple of different levels over the last couple of seasons. All right.
Look! This just in. I don't know if you saw this, or maybe am I missing it? Franco Ibarra
we've been
holding out.
Yeah, we talked about it before you came on, and
okay.
it is a numbers game involving the U22s. And Carlos Bocanegra is talking to the media right now, and folks are obviously fired up about it on the Twitch pitch. But we have Atlanta United currently has 4 U22s, and that's one more than you're allowed to have. And so right now, the decision was made this morning that Franco Ibarra would be loaned out until the end of the season and loaned to another MLS club, hopes to announce whom in the next 2 days. Carlos, at his media availability, has said the team has no plans to move Miles Robinson, who's out of contract. Would not say if they've received offers for Thiago Almada, which is understandable. Also, from Doug, said that the Ibarra loan is part of a bigger plan. But Carlos Bocanegra said the Ibarra loan until the end of the season is part of a bigger plan. So Franco Ibarra being loaned out currently is under contract with Atlanta United, I think until 26. And so you've got to keep an eye on that as well. So it's interesting right now. Franco Ibarra came in as a U22. And he's being loaned out to another MLS club. We don't know whom yet, and we will find out probably in the next couple of days when it comes to what the larger plan is. And so also, quick piece of news, looks like the Skills Challenge roster has been announced, and Thiago Almada is a part of it going up against the Arsenal side there. Wow. So that's where it is. I mean, with the 4 U22s, you had Santi Sosa, Eric Lopez, Edwin Mosquera, and Franco Ibarra. And right now, since you've got 4 and you can only have 3, Santi Sosa, off and on, not 100% healthy. Same for Eric Lopez, and Mosquera has come back over the last little bit. I want to say like over the last month or so to try to help out possibly for depth on the wing. And Franco Ibarra has just absolutely shown out this season, giving Atlanta that sandpaper in the midfield. But with what's going on with the U22s, you can only have 3. And that's just said. Carlos Bocanegra said this morning that it is part of a larger plan being loaned out toward through the end of this season and then obviously being pulled back. So, yeah, that's big news here this morning from the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground.
Yeah, Ibarra is a little hot and cold for me, to be quite honest. I think he has some really good games. He has some real stinkers. I don't like the lack of effort at times. So it's interesting, something to follow. Here in Seattle, there might be some news as well. I know that we're getting close to the end of our segment, but Stephen Fry wasn't at practice yesterday. Odd to not see him there. I asked around, and anytime that the club tells me that the coach will address it here soon, and it sounds like he's going to be held out, talking about Brian's presser till Friday. I don't know what's going on, but it doesn't seem to be great news for the team. Hopefully it's nothing serious, but some to watch on over here. Seattle's going to play 2 away games. Obviously Vancouver, then San Jose, so has a couple of tough ones on the road because this Vancouver team has had some good moments this season, especially offensively. They transition well. They are counter team. So it'll be interesting how Seattle plays out. They just got their first win. Not a great one, but one that they needed heavily against Houston. Albert Rusnak finally finds the back of the net. So it's interesting how things are playing out here in Seattle. Alex Roldan, already done in Gold Cup, of course. He's on his way here right now. If I'm not mistaken, the plane should touch down this morning. And so that'll be a good one for Seattle to have at least one player back from Gold Cup.
Yeah, I was gonna have you break down what's going to happen this weekend in the West. You're looking at LAFC hosting San Jose, coming off of El Tráfico. LAG, who got the win, hosting Philly, and Vancouver with Seattle. And then it's a quick turn for everybody out west once again. You mentioned having to go to San Jose, and your St. Louis All Caps FC, they get to go out in the midweek and take on LAFC out at BMO. So when you look at these two games in quick turns for the teams out west, what do you see?
LAG is an interesting one. I think they're going to get a reality check against Philadelphia, to be quite frank. Once that emotion is out of the way, once that, desire to win it, might turn Ricky Pooch back into a pumpkin. I still need to see him to be more consistent. He had a great game, fantastic game against LAFC. I love the tracking. I love the effort. That goal where he's pointing at Void, here you go. This is where I want it. But I just don't know if they're going to have that. I mean, that first goal by Boyd as well, all kinds of times by, I think it was Dueñas that was in the mark at that time. And I don't know how you give somebody the time to check their Twitter, Facebook, and then shoot the ball. But that's kind of what happened. San Luis, of course, they get the easy one. They get just the ability to just continue to grow and play a team that's just dead in the water. So I think San Luis is going to continue to stay up top. And LAFC going against San Jose, that's one that I'm going to be putting in some of my juice boxes in terms of draw. Right. I think that one's going to be a draw, has draw written all over it. As soon as I've seen it, quick turnaround, this LAFC team, San Jose can really be pragmatic at times, hold it back. So, yeah, I think that's going to be a draw. So I think Seattle, if they go out there in Vancouver, try to get a good result, I think St. Louis and Seattle are going to stay above the line of LAFC.
And you mentioned San Jose in your juice boxes for the draw, plus 393 in your juice boxes right now for LAFC and San Jose. What's going on right now with our friends at the Soccer Bar and Pulso Sports?
Oh, yeah. Well, we've had great shows in Soccer Bar, man. If you guys want to go back, Spanish speakers, and when Tata Martino came on a week ago, that was such a good show. I really want you guys to go back and look at that. We'll be back on today, 1 p.m., talking about Gold Cup, what's ahead of the game. We might have insider from Panama giving us an outlook at what's going on with this group that, as I mentioned, I think has a lot of potential to do well. Obviously, in the semifinals, it might be a little bit more difficult. Like I said, I think it's a two-man race, and it could be Jamaica and the U.S. Canada, has done look okay, but I don't think that they're really taking so much account into it. So we'll talk about all that at Pulso. Jackson Reagan talked to us this week. A.B. Sissoko got the start last week because he was on yellows. After the game, he says, I need more minutes. I need the team to figure it out because I need to play. So I asked him about how do you handle that, right? When you're the guy that maybe didn't play this game, you took the job from Javier Arriaga, so you know that it can happen. And, his answer is interesting. So go ahead and give it a check at Pulso Sports.
What he said, at El Rolo NW, at Sports Pulso, at the Soccer Bar. Niko, as always, great to catch up with you to wrap up our Thursday show. We will do that, and we will keep an eye on the transfer window. Apparently, Minnesota United has picked up Israel Tajiri-Shradi. They have just signed him, and that has come across the finish line today as we are here in the secondary window. So
look at that. Minnesota's trying to get it done, man. Reynosa comes in, and they just get all kinds of inspirations. All right.
No doubt. And you got that, and you got Teemu Pukki, and I'm kind of like, okay, so we'll see what happens there with Teemu Pukki, Ismail Tajiri-Shradi, Reynosa coming back. Things are getting interesting up there for Adrian Heath in Minnesota.
Adrian Heath, man, when you think he's out, they drag him back in, baby. He's just when you think he's out the door. All right.
What he said. So for Niko, for everybody here at SDH, keep an eye on the situation. In Atlanta, Carlos Bocanegra taking questions as we speak right now, and he has said to Doug Robertson of the AJC, it looks like that they're going to be trying to add another winger in the window. And so we'll keep an eye on the destination for Franco Ibarra over the next couple days. It is, and then Doug is also saying here in Toronto is interested in Ibarra, but he thinks it might be somebody else. Bocanegra saying Atlanta United is going to sign a winger. Seems at least a TAM level deal. We'll keep an eye on all of it. That's what this transfer window is all about. So for Niko, everybody here at SDH, keep an eye on your socials. We'll be back at it again tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock start. We'll do it again next week. Since it's the end of the show, that means I get to do this. Play it safe, everybody. We'll see you next time.